You've probably heard of Ikigai, right? It's often sold as this big Japanese secret to a long, happy, meaningful life. But what if I told you that the version most of us know is completely wrong? Yeah, what if this whole quest for one big thing, that one grand purpose in life, is just a big misunderstanding? What if the real secret is way simpler, something smaller, quieter, and maybe right in front of us all along? Okay, so first things first, we need to break down the myth of Ikigai, especially the version that's become so popular here in the West. So when I say Ikigai, I bet you're picturing that famous four-circle Venn diagram. You know, the one, what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. The thing is, as cultural anthropologist Gordon Matthews points out, we in the West, we love to define ourselves by our jobs. So naturally, we've kind of warped Ikigai into this tidy formula for finding the perfect career. And this is where you can really see the massive difference. The Western myth is all about chasing this one huge purpose, this destination tied to your career success. But the real, authentic Japanese idea, it's about cultivating lots of small reasons to live, every single day. It's focused on life itself, not just on work. I love how the Japanese neuroscientist Ken Moji explains this. He says that real Ikigai, it doesn't need applause. It doesn't need a paycheck. It's this deep internal feeling of value that absolutely anyone can find at any stage of life, and it's totally separate from our usual definitions of success. And that right there brings us to the real heart of all of this, these small reasons to live. This is the actual foundation of Ikigai. So what are we even talking about when we say small reasons? Well, they're not some big abstract concept. They're real, everyday things. For Ken Mogi, it might be the simple pleasure of making tea in the morning. Psychiatrist Mieko Kamiya found in her research it could be something as simple as getting a letter from a friend. See, Ikigai is really just the collection of all these tiny, daily anchors that keep us grounded. And look, this isn't just some feel-good theory. Héctor García, who co-wrote the book Ikigai, actually went to Okinawa and saw this in action. He found that the people who lived the longest in the world, they didn't have these grand, complicated theories about their life's purpose. Nope. Their Ikigai was super practical. It was lived every single day in their gardens, with their friends, in the food they ate, and in their simple routines. And this is why this whole idea of small reasons is so incredibly powerful. Think about it. If you hang everything on one single big purpose, that purpose can be pretty fragile, right? What happens if you lose that job or you actually achieve that one big goal? Poof, it can shatter. But all those little sources of meaning, they're renewable. They show up for you day after day. Okay, so this brings us to another really key piece of the puzzle. Ikigai is deeply connected to this feeling of being useful. And that's something that goes way, way beyond a job title. I mean, just think about it for a second. We pour so much of who we are into our main roles in life. But what happens when that role just goes away? When you retire or lose a job, or maybe your kids grow up and your role as a parent changes? It's a huge question. And honestly, it's one that most of us are going to have to face at some point. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl had a really profound take on this. He said the real danger isn't just losing something to do, it's losing a sense of responsibility. We have this fundamental human need to feel like life still expects something from us, that we still have something to contribute, no matter how old we are or what our situation is. And this is more important now than ever, because we're living so much longer. The scholar Linda Grattan makes a great point. That old model of life, study, then work for 40 years, then retire, it's completely obsolete. It just doesn't work anymore. We have to get good at redesigning and rediscovering our purpose over and over again through all the different seasons of a much longer life. So all of this really leads to a huge shift in how we should think about things. The question stops being, what do I do for a living? And it becomes something much deeper. Author Mark Friedman puts it perfectly. The real question is, who needs me now? That's the pivot. It's a shift from career to contribution. And here's the thing about that sense of contribution. You almost never find it by yourself. Ikigai is not a solo mission. It's built on connection. Belonging, really, is your lifeline. Back in Okinawa, they actually have a word for this. It's called a moai. And as Blue Zone's researcher Dan Buettner explains, this is not just your casual group of friends. A moai is a committed, lifelong support group. A circle of people who are genuinely there for each other through absolutely everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything. And this isn't just a nice cultural tradition, either. This is backed by serious science. Robert Waldinger runs the Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest studies on human life ever. And what did they find? The #1 predictor of health and happiness is good relationships. That connection literally protects our bodies and our minds as we get older. It's that important.
This just completely reframes the whole search for purpose, doesn't it? Maybe the most crucial question isn't just, what is my reason to live, but also, who needs me? Who would notice if my light started to dim? Answering that question, that's a seriously powerful source of meaning.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually bring it into our lives? Well, it really boils down to finding joy in repetition. It's about the art of daily practice.
You know that feeling when you're so completely absorbed in something that you lose all track of time? The psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi has a name for that. He called it flow. And that feeling isn't just a nice little distraction. It's a deep, profound source of joy. And it's a huge part of Ikigai.
And the best part is, you don't need some crazy, expensive hobby to find this state of flow. Zen monk Shunmyo Masuno teaches that you can find it in the most ordinary, simple acts. The secret is just paying attention, being fully present. When you can do that, he says, even something as mundane as washing a cup can become a peaceful, meditative act.
So let's make this super practical. Here are 4 daily practices you can try, straight from the experts. First, start your morning with one small pleasure. Second, pick one activity and just fully engage in it to find that flow. Third, take care of one small space with a sense of gratitude. And fourth, at the end of the day, just ask yourself this: what one moment today was enough?
And that brings us right back to the beginning, to the final, and maybe the most important question of all. It's time to forget about that overwhelming hunt for one single grand purpose. The real secret to Ikigai? It might just be found by gently asking yourself this one simple thing: what small joy makes life worth repeating?